Hello everyone! Welcome back to another 2v2 battle. I am playing as the Beastmen. My ally today is going to be Chaos. Actually just a random player, not surreal. This is Jam, something like that. And we are facing off against the Vampire Counts and the Empire on this very watery map. My army here is an army that I would bring into a 1v1 situation because the game lobby for this that I joined into was serious game. So I thought we were going to have, like, you know, quote-unquote serious builds. So I brought a 1v1 build here, which is a build of 6 Ungor Spearman Herd, Kazrak the One Eye, which honestly I normally wouldn't use, but I was like, it's a 2v2. Let me bring Kazrak One Eye. Let's go crazy and bring a Lord that is not that great for the price. Also brought 2 Bestigor Herds, 2 Gorbals, because that is the Beastmen. Like, that's kind of why I don't like them. Beastmen are Gorbals, basically. And we also have a Brave Shaman of the Wild, because I took the Centaur spell, the Mantle of Garok, and the Venom Tide, which is like a little small AoE burst explosion spell. So I've been testing out with the Mantle of Garok. What it does... Actually, here, let's just pause it real quick. Because it's not a spell that I see often used, and I've never really used that much because I don't use the Beastmen. But I've been testing... Oh, come on, give me... Here we go. Okay, so the Mantle of Garok, 58 melee attack and 44% weapon damage for 55 seconds. And then after that buff wears off, whatever unit is hit with the Mantle of Garok kind of takes like a mini devolve. So they will take a little damage over time, so you gotta keep that in mind. But I've been testing that with the Centaurs with great weapons. So I brought 2 of those back here, and then a Chaos Warhound for intercepting charges. And with the Mantle of Garok, a Centaur with great weapons can almost take down a Royal Altdorf Griffite. No joke. I've tested it like 10, 15 times or something. They never win in a 1v1, but as long as the Warhounds intercept the charge and then they come in charging later, they can almost defeat a unit that's 1800 in cost and one of the best cavalry in the game. So the Mantle of Garok is no joke. Without that, the Centaurs don't do nearly as well. So I wanted to bring that kind of test into a multiplayer battle, and so here we are. We have the War Puppies to intercept the charge, and then the Centaurs to get buffed and then charge in. My allies' army was deployed up here as a bunch of Chaos Warriors with great weapons, 3 Aspiring Champions, Archeon, the Ever-Chosen. Then we have a Chaos Vera Manticore, and then 2 Exalted Heroes, all on Manticores. And my allies going to be kind of static in this battle. And then over here for the enemy, lot of Cav. 2 Blood Knights, 2 Black Knights, 3 Hex Thrace, Zentlers, Reichsguard. We have Outriders over here. Assortment of Knights of the Blazing Sun. I think 3 of them? No, those are Demigryph Knights, and then 2 Knights of the Blazing Sun over there. Up here on the hill, Crossbows, Balthazar Gelt, Mortar Team. We have the Sigmar Sons and the Tatrasouls. And then we have more Demigryph Knights over here on the flank. So I'm not sure if my enemy here brought this army because of the map. Considering that most of it's covered in water, the Cav is going to have that much more of an advantage versus a lot of infantry, because infantry and small units take penalties in the water. It's kind of like the penalties to large in the forests. And there's a lot of both in this map. So it's kind of a cool map, not one I see a lot. It's kind of cool. But I am actually positioned here at the base of the hill now. Again, I was originally deployed like this, but since my ally was just kind of static up here, I was like, well, I'm not going to charge in on my own. So I deployed at the base in hopes that they were going to eventually join me. You can see they're putting their flying units around here to threaten the enemy's position on the hill. And at this point, we don't see most of their cav. We see this, obviously. And I was like, well, this is unique. You don't see a cav build for Vampire Counts being led by Manfred von Carson. I was like, that's pretty cool. And at this point, I didn't realize that the 3 Hex Race were there. I was wondering what they had spent all their money on. I assumed it was hiding in trees somewhere, but very soon we're going to find out that it's 3 Hex Rates. So over here, I summoned a Cygor because, again, I can't really charge in. I was doing things like this to try and indicate to my ally like, hey, you know what, let's get in there. Let's get in there. And they're like, They're like, nah, I'm fine. I'm like, okay. So I wasn't even going to summon a Cygor yet, but considering that I couldn't really advance quite yet without my ally, I decided to summon one here, and it was going to throw some rocks over here at these Blood Knights that were kind of just standing in front of my army. The idea, and again at this point I didn't realize how much cav they had, I thought it was just a bunch of infantry hiding in the trees, was to summon the Cygor kind of like on top of the enemy and use its, well, melee stats and the fact that it causes terror and fear to try and rout the enemy at the appropriate time. It was going to be like a terror bomb, kind of, but didn't work out the way. So anyway, the Manfred Cav is going to march back, and at this point we see, I'm like, oh crap, those are 3 Hex Rays. I have no magical damage whatsoever except for the 1 offensive spell I took with the Brave Shaman of the Wild. And something else I should point out about the Brave Shaman, again, I'm still learning about the Beastmen because I don't play them often, but I was really just kind of studying them this past week, trying to see builds that I would like to bring. And this passive right here, the Bestial Surge, as long as they're casting, this is going to proc and increase the vigor and speed of your entire army. And the Viletide, sorry, is only 6 mana and a 25 cooldown, so you can kind of spam this throughout the battle if you don't actually spend all your mana on a Cygor. And you can actually kind of keep your army well vigored, meaning they're not going to have the penalty to their stats and their leadership because of their fatigue. You see the fresh down there? So it's not that bad, really, if you just continue to spam spells every couple, like 20 seconds. You can keep your entire army and then your allies as well in decent shape. But anyway, the Hex Race are going to come in here and charge on my flank against these Ungor Spearmen. I am going to be bringing in Bestigors. I'm going to be bringing in my Shaman, who actually got knocked down there in the middle of casting a Viletide spell. And then I have my Gorbals sitting over here as well. And I think this is being engaged in the gashed. I think. Maybe I think that's what's happening. So over here I'm going to cast my first Viletide spell to do magic damage to these X-Rays. And it didn't really do too much. I was honestly hoping for a lot more. But that's the only thing I have to combat Hex Rays. And then the Manfred Cav is going to charge up the hill into the forest over here. Well, actually, I guess this part's out in the water. I'm going to charge to this side of my Ungor Spearmen, where I have my puppies, and then my 2 Centaurs with great weapons are kind of, actually one's over here. The other one was charging into this other flank of Knights of the Blazing Sun. I was trying to cast Morok's Mantle, but this game was so laggy that it wouldn't go through. So these Knights of the Blazing Sun would have been destroyed nearly instantaneously with that buff on, but unfortunately it did not go off. But over here, we are still dealing with the 3 Hex Rays. They are starting to rout a couple of my Spearmen, but I have a ton of Spearmen. There goes another Viletide spell to try and weaken the Hex Rays. Manfred von Karstein is going to come over here along with these Hex Rays and try to threaten Kazrak the One-Eye. So I'm going to respond by pulling our Gorbals, who are dealing with those Knights of the Blazing Sun. And we're going to try and kill Manfred here very soon. The other Knights are pulling away from my right flank, where they were engaged with my secondary Cygor or Centaur with great weapons, who are doing a massive amount of damage to these Blood Knights because they're trying to retreat, but the Centaurs are not letting them withdraw without a fight. Going to be pouring in our other Bestigor units over here, chasing these Knights around. Obviously, the Bestigors can't do too much against Hex Rays, but they can do a lot against Black Knights and Blood Knights, so that's why I'm positioning them over here. My ally, by the way, in case you're wondering, this entire time is just going to be like, nah, I'm cool, bro. I'm cool. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And then over here, there's their flying units. They're kind of doing little harass here and there to the crossbows. I think they did like one little quick charge. But I think my allies' attention is all over here on their flying units. And they're just going to kind of sit there and watch me fight all this cav. But luckily, these Blood Knights continuing to try and retreat are going to get caught up on our Spearmen and these Centaurs that are chasing them. My Cygor is going to be throwing in rocks over on these Blood Knights over here. My 2 Gorbals, you do not want to fight them in melee. And Manfred von Karstein should have been leaving immediately. And also, I kind of feel bad, because this build is a build I would take in 1v1. Normally in a 2v2, I would get a little bit more silly with it, but the game name was called Serious Game. So I was like, okay, let's have a serious 2v2 here. And the builds that they brought were kind of more silly. Like, these are not your everyday builds, so I kind of feel bad for bringing 2 Gorbals. If I had realized it was going to be more of a silly game, then I maybe not wouldn't have brought any. But anyway, so we kill Manfred von Karstein because he has no chance against 2 Gorbals and Kazrak the One-Eye, also Bestigors. And we are just sweeping down into the water and finishing off all these Blood Knights, and then the rest of the Imperial Cav is coming in. So we have some Dimmigraph Knights out here, and more Knights of the Blazing Sun, and the second unit coming in. The flying units from the Chaos are now withdrawing back to their army, which is still just kind of, you know, they're just kind of like, you want to know what I was doing in this battle? This. No joke, this is what I was doing. And then they finally started to move. That's okay. The Gorbals are, the Beastmen are very strong, very aggressive, so we're just going to take this fight out in the water. We do have some support from these Chaos Warriors, the Great Weapons, and Archon the Ever-Chosen. Gorbals are coming over to have some fun as well, because they are not done. They have not yet begun to fight. So they're going to get into these Knights of the Blazing Sun, and we're going to get flanked by the second Knights of the Blazing Sun. Very nice flank on the side. And I'm going to flank them then with our Bestigor herds. My Centaurs are mixed in here, I believe. There's one of them. I still have both units. Maybe the other one's in here, just not... Yeah, they are. They're both in here. We're going to get a rear charge here from the flying units and Exalted Heroes into these Knights of the Blazing Sun, and that is going to actually break this formation briefly. You can see at this point we're taking some fire from those mortar teams. Balthasar Gelt is above us, and he is casting Transmutation of... our Final Transmutation. And it hit a lot of my units because we were grouped up, but look how much damage it does. Nothing! nothing. And this is a gripe I have. This is a gripe. And honestly, this is the reason why I didn't take the other shaman, the Brace Shaman of Beasts, I think it's what's called. And it's what the Amber Wizard is for the Empire. The Brace Shaman of Beasts with the spell Flock of Doom, I think that's what it's called. Is way too good. There are other spells like it. The Beastmen have Devolve on this shaman, but it's really bad. The Metal Lord, what you just saw there, it's their version, Final Transmutation. Though I think Final Transmutation may be for single targets only. But anyway, every spell that's like Flock of Doom is relatively weak, except for Flock of Doom for some reason. Flock of Doom is just so good. It is so good, and I don't understand why every other version of that spell that's spread out along the different lores are not even nearly as good. And it's really baffles my mind. Anyway, just observation. So the Exalted Heroes and the Manticore are now going to be chasing off Balthazar Gelt. He is faster because he is on a Pegasus, and these are all Manticores. I believe the Manticores are slower. Speed of 85. Yeah, 110. Pegasus are, I think, the fastest unit in the game, along with the Nightmare? Is it called the Nightmare for the Vampire Council, the flying one? But anyway, you can see we have wrapped up most of the Blood Knights. Man from Karstein is dead. We have, I'm not sure what we have over here. Demigryph Knights or Zintler's Reichsguard came in for a side charge here against our Gorbel and, sorry, not a Gorbel, but our Ungor Spearmen, and then this Cygor, I think, was their actual target. I threw in some Spearmen in front of their charge, so we intercepted them there, and then our Gorbels are going to come over here and finish this. The two Gorbels together are insane. And again, the Beastmen really just are Gorbels. That's why I don't play them that often, because like they're the keystone. They're the brick and mortar. They're everything to the Beastmen. Without them, their army is so weak, so weak. It's disgusting how weak the Beastmen are without Gorbels, and I hate that a single unit is that important. I just don't like it at all, but it's how they are. The Gorbels are insane. Insanely good. That's why I'm trying to test out other things that we can do with the Beastmen, because I don't enjoy Gorbels, but it is a kind of a necessity you need to bring. So that's why the Mantle of Garrote with the Centaurs may be something that I do more often in the future. And actually, at the end of this video, I may show you exactly what I was talking about, because I didn't really get to pull it off here. So right here, I totally forgot there were Sigmar Sons. They were hiding out here in this forest, so I'm going to be like, oh crap. My mobile force here was going for these mortars that were pounding our infantry that is chasing the Cav. Really, I'm just chasing the Cav right now just to get closer to the rest of their stationary force. These flashlights over here, the Tattersalls, I am now aiming with the Cygor, and at some point I'm going to start moving between shots as I'm trying to micromanage everything right now, and my ally is moving up their infantry across the water as well. So the Sigmar Sons are now going and chasing our Centaurs. I'm going to have to pull them away from this fight because this is not what I really want them to fight. And over here, the Demigryph Knights that are still fresh are going to come over, so I'm going to have them get intercepted by the Chaos Warhounds. They are going to eat all the damage from the charge, and then our two Centaurs and our Gorbels are going to go and join the party. So you can see our Centaurs, they didn't have to weather that insane charge damage from the Demigryph Knights. And so now they are just going to get torn to pieces by the two Centaurs and the two Gorbels, while our Bestigor and our Spearmen over here are going to try and deal with the Sigmar Sons, but they're actually going to lose this fight against the Sigmar Sons. Over here, we have re-engaged against what remains of the Cav. They have charged to this point, but Kazrak the One-Eye has buffed all of his units nearby, and including Archon the Ever-Chosen, who cast Deadly Onslaught apparently, and we are going to finish off these Knights of the Sun, while our Ungor Spears are going to start to try and threaten the Mortar team, but they are going to get intercepted by the Tattersouls, which is a very strong unit. I am still targeting them with my Cygor, but probably most of the rocks are hitting these trees, actually. You can see we're dealing with the Demigryph Knights over there. Balthazar Gelt is being shattered off the field with this Exalted Hero, and the only thing left is going to be the units that are unbreakable. We have shattered the rest of their army at this point. Hey, there goes the rock. There we go. So they get some rear charges here, and the Tattersouls are going to eventually fall to Kazrak. Meanwhile, the two Gorbels lead the charge against the Sigmar Sons, who did rout off our Bestigors and our Ungor Spears. But the Gorbels are just too strong. And once again, I'm just saying, I don't mean to point this out a lot, but I'm just like, even right here, I was doing this. I was like, come on, let's get this game over with. Hey, listen. Sometimes people just, want to be really chill with the game. That's fine. I got my Cygor in here. He's going to get some melee kills. He's going to have fun. He actually went to melee, I think, 3 different times. As he got charged by Reichsguard and Blood Knight. Flaming Sword of Ruin dropped there at the very end. Very nice. Good game to my opponents. I appreciate the builds they brought, the cav focus builds. I don't know if maybe they had those builds in mind with this map, again, specifically because there's a lot of water that weakens the infantry, and so in theory, cav is stronger on the water. But at the same time, it's easy to get drawn into these pockets of forest. So, like, this is a really hazardous map for everybody. Very hazardous map for every unit involved, but it's a cool one. But again, good game to my opponents and to my ally. Let's take a look at the kill count. We've got decent amount of kills across the board. Centaur's nearly 100 here, over 100 there. Best scores did really good. The Warhounds, their entire job in a build with the Centaurs is to wear charges of enemy cav, and they wore it well. You did your job well, puppies. Good job. Gorbel sniped out Manfred and just get a ton of kills there. For Gem, we have 52 kills in Archeon. The Exalted Heroes did pretty good. 16 kills in this Chaos Warrior, 30 on this one. And then the Manticore did pretty well as well. For Blaz Gorecki, 76 kills in the Sigmar Sons against my Bestigors and Spearmen is not bad. 56 with the Tower Souls, again, not bad. The Cav, they did okay here and there. It's just that they were heavily outnumbered. Like, an all-Cav build, I don't think can really work against, like, quote-unquote traditional armies. There's just too many units for them to deal with. They're just so heavily outnumbered that it's going to be really hard. Like, even though Demigryph Knights are insanely good at killing infantry, there's just so few of them, you know? So you need some kind of units. Like, if they had the Demigryph Knights, I'm just trying to think, like, spitball here. If they had the Demigryph Knights in a core group, and then they also had the Tattersold and the Sigmar Sons to kind of tank some units while these were mixed into these units and fighting all at the same time, maybe they could have done some insane damage. I'm not entirely sure. But the thing is, for, like, the Cav builds are just really kind of iffy. Although, I mean, look at, like, they got a lot of kills, though. These hex rates did really well. Really well. Really good there. Poor Manfred, though, had no chance against those Gorbels. So, yeah, let's actually show you... we'll do a little cinematic view, but before we get to that, I just wanted to show you what I was talking about with the... Yeah, this is the one. So, if you get a puppy, you can get a poison puppy if you want to, but if their entire purpose is just to weather a charge, then I wouldn't spend as much money on him. And then for the CPU... I don't want your abilities interfering. Royal Altdorf Griffites. Okay. Let's go. What map are we on? It's fine. Now, the Royal Altdorf Griffites is still going to win. But if you had two Centaurs, they do lose pretty easily. Now, granted, at that point, you are spending more money than the Griffites. But if you can take them out clean and still have cav left over, then you win that fight. So the puppies are going to wear the charge. How much mana did... Yeah, we're good. And you're going to hear an angry puppy in the background. So again, 58 melee attack and 44% weapon damage. Trying to have your Centaurs kind of off to the side so they come in and flank. So the puppy's going to wear the charge. They're now buffed up. You can see the weapon damage and their melee attack are now an 82. We'll fast forward. And they do a lot of damage, but in the end, they will run because of the fear and terror that the Altdorf Griffites emit. But even against a normal Demigryph unit with halberds, these guys will sometimes win because the fear and the terror do not affect them because there is none. So sometimes they can win against a normal halberdier unit, but the Royal Altdorf Griffites win all the time, but they are usually about at this hit point. And again, if you had two Centaurs and then a puppy against, again, only one of these, then you will win clean out. So I just want to show you that. It's a possible combo that you can try. I appreciate the 3 hex rate build here. You don't see, like, I barely ever see hex rates at all. So this is really cool to see. Blood Knights look so cool. But it seems like after the initial charge, they were then immediately given move orders that weren't like far enough back. So they were just kind of dragging themselves across my front line of spears here. And the thing to remember about these Centaurs too is that they have basically Frenzy right here. So they have increased melee attack, charge speed, immune to psychology as long as leadership is above 50%. But on top of that, they are also immune to Vigor and +4 additional leadership with Rowdy unless the leadership is wavering. So they can fight all day, run all day, and they're still at top Vigor, which is very powerful the longer the battle goes on. But they are easily killed, which is why I was running them with the puppies to intercept any charges, so that they didn't have to take that damage. But they're like a glass cannon, kind of. Also, Black Knights don't get enough love either. They didn't really get to do too much in this particular situation, but I think Black Knights are pretty good. They're very, very cheap cav, and you can kind of hoard a lot of enemies that don't expect Black Knights. You can get like 3 or 4 of them, and you can just kind of overrun their back line of protectors and get into their squishy bits. They are pretty solid cav for 700 gold. Now, they can't hold their own against any other cav in the game. Like, that's not what you really would want to use them for. Because they're a melee cav. Well, actually, one of the few melee cav in this game. Like, most cav in the game is shock cav. There's really not too much melee cav. It was nice to see Chaos getting into the action. I'm sure Kazrak appreciated it. I mean, at least move the aspiring champions nearby so I can get their buff, their leadership buff. So I believe I moved most of my army over here at some point. I don't think there's really much fighting going. Oh, wait. Ooh. The renowned Zentler's Reichsguard. They actually do look pretty cool. You don't, or I don't see these often. I should probably try them out. Some kind of Vanguard focused build. I don't know. Empire does have some Vanguard units. 2 of which have Stalk, which is always fun. Like, I don't know, maybe you can lure some enemy cav into a trap with the Zentler's Reichsguard, and you kind of, you know, like the scenario is you Vanguard deploy Reichsguard, enemy armies there, they're like, oh shit, then they send their cav, and you're like, oh shit, I made a mistake, pull into this forest, and oh shit, there's the Silver Bullets and the Zentler's Revenge right there, or Sterling's Revenge right there, which is the armor-piercing Stalk missile units for the Empire, and you're like, oh, then you murder their cav, you know what I'm saying? Something like that, some kind of trap. Fight! You Demigryph Knights, they're only Youngor's herds. There's a lot of them, though. The only real units I believe in for the Beastmen infantry are the Ungor Spearmen herd because they're really good at dying. The Bestigors because they're kind of a necessity. And sometimes Ungor Raiders because they're archers. I think the Gore herds are really bad. That's why you probably won't see me use them. I think they're really, really bad. In most matchups. Like against another Beastman unit or Beastman army, you could probably bring Gore herds pretty safely. Against green skins, maybe. Really only Beastmen. Maybe against Wood Elves when they come out. Battle! You could try and bring him against Empire. If the Empire is bringing a lot of like swordsmen and spearmen, Gorhers could do pretty good against in that situation. If they're not torn to shreds by some kind of ranged or cav or general of the Empire mounted on a griffin or Amber Wizard casting Flock Doom or mortars. What I'm saying is that they're easy to kill. These knights look, all these knights look so awesome. Also, Archeon just looks badass too. Sorcery! That's not something you want to see if you're one of these poor humans. Oh, now move! Oh, Jesus. Hey, they got up! Oh. Oh. Well, hey, they got up again. Oh, and then the chaos came. Just like chaos, right? Coming at the very end for the glory, you know? Damn chaos. Glory seekers. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, everybody. I will see you all next time. Take care.